Today is a miracle day. Here I am out on West Lake Okoboji on a paddleboard. See if you can see it here. With my feet clinging to a buoy so I don't drift off somewhere and Bruce will never be able to find me. And it's a gorgeous day and it's a Wednesday, and so the lake is very calm. I guess people here don't drive their boats on Wednesdays. But a year ago, late July, I was in a really horrible head-on collision, which put me in the hospital in the trauma unit for 7 days. And while it was extremely painful in there, it was amazing how content, how peaceful, how calm I was, because my life prior to that accident was a mess. I was not living my priorities in order at all, and it caused extreme stress. And when the accident happened, it just stopped all that and really gave me time to reflect on how I can use this time to be a better person, be a better speaker, be a better grandma, mom, wife, you name it. And so during that time, my daughter Abigail, who lived in Houston, actually moved back to take care of me since I needed so much care. Well, she and I spent a lot of time together. She had to drive me to lots of appointments, which I'm sure was just a pain in the butt, but she did it very kindly. But one of the days that we were driving, I was talking about my business. It was probably 4 months in or so. My business had been put on hiatus, although I did speak once with my boot and a crutch, and that was pretty interesting. But I knew that I wanted to rebrand, remodel, change my presentation. I knew it. I needed my presentation to be totally me, not a quote from someone else, not how someone else runs their business or anything, but totally me. And we're talking about, like, in the hospital, how I was and before. Anyway, Abigail came up with this term, perfectly, period, flawed, period. And I said, that's it. That is perfectly it. And while we didn't really know what it meant totally, we just knew that God had given us that term. I hear a speedboat coming up on me, so maybe they'll be quiet, I don't know. And so later, I looked up an Urban Dictionary, and there actually is a definition for perfectly flawed. And I won't read it because I don't want to change my phone here. But basically, you're perfectly flawed if something has happened to you, you've been victimized, you've learned from it, and you move forward. It does not define you. Flawed is being victimized, dented, hurt, whatever, and you haven't learned how to live with it and move forward, so you're flawed. So there's perfectly flawed and flawed. And I help people go from flawed to perfectly flawed super easy. So we were talking about the different ways in my business, and I started thinking more and more about perfectly flawed and how perfect was. And then I realized how before that I wasn't living my priorities in order. And I will guarantee you that if you are stressed, and it seems like everybody in the whole world is stressed, is because you're not living your priorities in the order that you gave them. I can guarantee it, okay? And if you say there's no time like everybody else says so, it's because you're not living your priorities in order. And I teach, and I don't say preach, but speak on the 3 A's of going from flawed to perfectly flawed. And they are accept, allow, and apply. And you can change it in a second because it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. I never would have thought a year ago that I'd be on this paddleboard today. Granted, I'm kneeling, I'm not standing. I have a injury in my ankle that isn't quite there yet. But what a beautiful day that God has made. And the support that is around you if you ask and if you receive. See, before, I never asked, and so I couldn't receive. I was the one who did it. I was the one who figured it out. It was exhaustion. And then the accident happened, and I couldn't. I couldn't do practically anything. I did constantly ask, constantly receive from other people. And that was a hard lesson, but a good lesson. And I don't want you to go through a head-on car crash ever, trust me, to learn these things. So I didn't really want this to be a promo video, but I guess I'm going to turn it into one. But if you wouldn't mind sharing this, and hopefully there's some meeting planners in your friend list that are ready to have this kind of message. And it's for anyone, men, women, and men, women. And most of the time I speak to women's groups. And my mom, about a year ago when she was 93 and a half, asked me about that. And I said, I don't know, I just feel more comfortable with men. And she said, Elizabeth, and she just started to show signs of vascular dementia. She still had this wisdom. She said, Elizabeth, you have to speak to men. Why is that, Mom? Because they aren't listening to what their wives are saying. Because they aren't listening to what their wives are saying. So yes, I speak to all sorts of groups. If you want to be a better leader, better employer, better employee, better wife, better husband, better mother, yada, yada, yada. I would love to work with you one-on-one or as a presentation. But I'm going to go back. As you can see, I'm holding on to a buoy so I don't float off and Bruce will never find me. Although that kind of represents God to me, really. Now that I think about it, I don't hold on to him and trust him. And I got to trust that this buoy is going to stay here. I don't even know how they work. That's really a lot like God, now that I think about it. That's cool. Anyway, I love you all, and I hope to talk to you later. Bye.